We're going to just do a quick warm up because you guys have seen this warm up process about a million times by now. Yeah, my elbow right there. All right. I told you guys I like to do a little heel squeeze when I'm warming up. All right. Do you guys have your reflexology maps? I don't realize how much I move my arm until you're trying to record something. Okay, would somebody like to read the first technique for me?
Treatment techniques or thumb inchworm?
We're going to start with the thumb inchworm.
Thumb inchworm. Press into reflex zone with tip of your thumb as you flex your thumbs interphalangeal joint. Extend the joint and move about a quarter inch across the reflex zone as you release the pressure. Then flex and press again. Extend and move again. Continue this motion across reflex zone.
All right, so I like to divide the foot into little zones by toe. So there will be like one little zone here and then another little zone, so on and so forth. So you're always like working up or down to or from a toe. That just helps you keep track of where you are. And you're just going to do little presses as you work your way up. A little squeeze at the base of the toe. Couple toe squeezes. Just be careful when you're squeezing the toes. Some people have like ingrown nail issues and that kind of thing, and it's super painful to do that. Then we'll do, and you're going to do this multiple times. It's not like one and done. We're just kind of like waking up these areas. When I'm doing like more detailed reflexology, I go over doing this technique at least 2 times, if not more than that. And you may find certain areas feel like they need a little bit more treatment. That's totally normal. It's usually different on both sides. Sometimes I'll switch hands to do like the outer toes. All right, and I'm going to just move from this one right into the supported modified inchworm. Could you read that out while I'm demoing?
Make a loose fist with your thumb resting on the outside of the fist. Alternately press into reflexology zones with the tip of your thumb and release the pressure to slide across them about 1/4 inch. Apply pressure with different parts of the tip of your thumb, depending on what part of the foot you are applying pressure and at what angle. When you back off to slide across the zone, do so by pivoting your arm at your elbow.
So this is coming a little bit more from my arm, but it's a supported thumb. This is my preference to how I do reflexology instead of just doing like the thumb just hanging out here, making all the effort. I like to do a supported thumb.
Is any pressure from your lower knuckles like on the foot at all, or like?
Not really. I just kind of like just touching up against so that it's just resting under there.
Do we use a knuckle if even the supported thumb, your thumb is still feeling a little tired?
That is totally normal.
And that's the next variation. So I hear some people sort of whispering, figuring it out, and that's great. But just to kind of verbalize what I'm hearing questions about, the effect of this one is the exact same as the last one. The only difference is that you're supporting your thumb so that you're not having to use a little movement at the end of your joint. So can you show the last one again?
So this, oh, the thumb inchworm.
Yes.
So instead of going and actually like using that thumb.
And traditional original reflexology, this was the main technique, the thumb inchworm. And I mean, all the massage therapists I know, we like to support our thumb and not use that little joint. So Elizabeth and I and Lucy all prefer the supported, but we would be remiss not to teach you the original thumb walking. So you're getting the same effect by press, release, but you're not bending your thumb so much. We don't want to hurt our joints.
I can dig in really nicely with my thumb in this position, but you can see how my joint is kind of inverting right there. That's not ideal. Gotta preserve my thumbs. I know, my money makers. All right. So what's the next one? Somebody want to read it?
Squeeze/slide through reflexes repeatedly. You can use this tool for this, like wooden reflexology tool, stone, or jade. Use good pressure per client's preference to slide through and squeeze areas/zones repeatedly. It is helpful to work through zones in multiple directions. You can push through crunchy areas longer.
Yeah, so you don't have to just work like vertically. You can work the zones horizontally too. You could probably work diagonally if you could keep track of where you were. And this is kind of like the duckbill thing that we've been doing. But we're just going to work just sliding along. Okay, what's the next one?
Knuckle roll. Make a knuckle, alternately press into reflex zones and roll off of them as you move forward along the zones about 1/4 of an inch. Apply pressure at different angles depending on where you are applying pressure. You can experiment when to twist your fingers, supinating and pronating your forearm, and when to pivot with your elbow for strength or combine the two movements.
All right, so instead of using a supported thumb, I'm just using a knuckle, which is not my favorite.
So it's kind of like you're giving someone a knee.
kind of like a one finger noogie.
You're really only using your index finger.
Yeah.
But if your middle finger is stronger, then you can use that one, right?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I personally would find that like really fatiguing. You could probably also do like 2 knuckles at a time. Keisha, how are we doing on pressure?
It's good.
But you can see when I'm doing this technique, no matter what hand I'm using, when I get to the outer edge of the foot, I don't get quite as good traction and control as I feel like I can get holding with my thumb.
Real quick, is your demonstration of the suspinating and the pronating basically like clockwise, counterclockwise?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just
those
moving.
along? Okay.
Just moving the arm. That way the movement is coming from more of your like upper arm than it is like if I were just like trying to do it just with my wrist. That would be a lot of strain on my little wrist. So I want to use bigger joints than that. All right, what's the next one?
Thumb circles. Support your thumb with a loose fist. Apply pressure to a reflex zone with your thumb and move your thumb along with your whole hand and arm in small circles. Continue this for 5 to 30 seconds.
We're just doing little tiny circles.
Would you say most of the power and movement is coming from your arm?
Yes, I can feel it in my bicep. And this is an excellent, like the thumb circles are what I don't usually use the thumb circles to do like the full zones. Just because it's a lot of like extra effort when I could just be like pushing with my whole body and the tip of my thumb. But it's fantastic. Like there's a little spot over here where a thumb circle is perfect for this spot. We've got some crunchies in here.
So would you ever use tools with any of what we've done so far?
You can use tools. I usually don't, although I've been tempted by some, like the I personally like the stones that have like a little point to them where, you know, it's kind of like a fingertip. But you can also get like acrylic tools for the same thing. But I find that for myself using those tools, I don't feel like I'm getting enough like sensory information through my hands for that.
That makes sense.
All right, what's the next one?
Finger circles. Extend your fingers and hold them in a straight line next to each other for support. Apply pressure to the reflex zone with the tip of your longer finger, middle finger, and move your fingers along with your whole arm in small circles. Continue this for 5 to 30 seconds. Utilize this stroke where less pressure is needed than thumb circles.
So the finger circles are great for the top of the foot where you don't have to dig in quite as much. And I have my fingers like right next to each other, supporting each other So I'm not just have one weak little guy trying to do it all by himself.
And are you using your thumb at all to?
Yeah, that's my question.
I'm
brace the
just
bottom.
bracing from the bottom with my thumb. My thumb isn't actually,
Just working the
But you
torso.
could if you wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Under finger circles, according to some systems of thought, such as traditional Asian medicine, clockwise circles are tonifying. What is tonifying?
Like building or nourishing if there's a deficiency. So Elizabeth's on a liver meridian right now, which usually has excess. So or a blockage like a beaver dam. So you would open that up or disperse it.
So it's counterclockwise.
Exactly.
all right. What do we got next?
Press and hook. First, thumb walk to a target zone. Apply a circular motion of rotation to zero into the target with your thumb. Flex your thumbs interphalangeal joints. Press into a reflex zone. Then, while holding the pressed tissue into the underlying body structures, pull the tissue laterally and hold for 3 to 5 seconds. Release and repeat several times.
Okay, so I've come back to this little crunchy spot again. Keisha, is that pressure okay?
I could do
Keisha, you're making me look
it.
bad. Is that better?
Yeah.
That's when I wonder if like sometimes it would be effective to use a tool in a situation like that, like the little wooden stick thing.
I mean, really, if you're not getting enough pressure with your hand, you're not going to be getting enough pressure with a tool. The tool isn't going to make that much of a difference. So you can see I sink in and then pull laterally. You're not going to get a whole ton of movement in there, but especially if you have something in particular to work out, this is an excellent technique.
Since you're pulling laterally, is this technique only effective on like certain reflex points or?
No, you can use them anywhere. So if I were going to, get in here. I could still pull laterally with my hand in this position. I can also switch thumbs and push laterally if I wanted to. All right, what's next?
finger inchworm. Alternately flex and extend the dip joint, the distal
This one,
inphalangeal joint
this one.
of your first finger, and you press and then lighten the pressure to inch forward. This technique is similar to the thumb inchworm, but it is usually utilized on the top of the foot in the trough.
Yeah, so like we do the rib cage release like this, you can do the inchworm just inching along here. You can also do it like this way, an inch, if that feels better. All right, I found a little spot, so I'm just doing some little circles here. All right, what's next?
Butterfly the dorsal surface with all fingers. This stroke is similar to a finger inchworm. Start with a hand on either side of the foot, fingers placed next to each other. Walk the fingers toward the middle of the foot with small caterpillar movements. Walk in small enough increments to feel the bones, tendons, and troughs. When your fingers meet the center, slowly and gently press in and hold for a count of 5. To return to the starting point, press in with all your fingers at once, while to drag away gently 1 finger width. Press in, drag, press in, and drag until your fingers are at the outside of the foot again.
Okay, and then what's our last one?
Interrupt.
Go ahead.
Use your support hand in a C position to support the dorsal side of the toes and the base of the plantar surface of the metatarsals. With your treatment hand, rock the index finger from side to side, rolling across the tip of each toe on the brain reflex areas.
So I'm just wobbling my finger right at the top of the toe, back and forth. And I'm using my middle finger as support just because it's slippery. You could just do kind of this. But I need the extra support.
Is that reflex point also on the side of the toes, or is it just the tip?
For this particular spot, for the brain, yes, it's just the toe tip. But there's other, you're gonna get into like the neck when you get farther down the toe, and then the outside of the toes. And you get into the thyroid, and
I guess they
Stuff
do
is-
look like little heads, kind of.
they do look like little heads. Just give them a little head rub.
So I understand that massage is contraindicated if somebody is sick or just becoming sick, but do you think that it could still be appropriate to do like reflexology on someone or no? Like if it's a family member?
Like they're coughing and sneezing and stuff.
My little guy, I think he has tonsillitis right now.
Oh,
He just has a sore throat and swollen tonsils, and that's it, nothing else. And so last night I didn't work on him at all, but I was wondering if I worked on his feet, if it would be okay.
It would probably be fine to do that, especially if you were going to be, really hitting those reflex points. Most of the caution with illness, and I've actually had it happen where I was a little bit sick and I went to get a massage, and then I was really, really sick.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't just in my like head and chest. It felt like it was all over my body. It was awful. So not only, you know, in these times, not only are you, well, I suppose back then too, you'd still be contagious, but we were a little bit more lax about that sort of thing back then. But I don't recommend, yeah, when you're like full blown sick. But if you just need a little like specific support,
I just wondered if the reflexology would be actually good for him. I don't go much further than the ankles. I'm not flushing.
It might be good for him. Yeah, our, you know, Elizabeth mentioned the two main concerns, but, you know, we're, if it's your own family member, you know, it's a little bit different, but we want to be very careful with contagion. And anything that's contagious now, right? Even if it's not COVID, we don't want anybody, you know, coming around with anything that has symptoms, because that means everybody's now gonna get exposed to something that they have to check on. But the actual reflexology might be helpful for him.
That's what I'm wondering.
all right, does anybody have any questions about any of these techniques? Do I need to go over any of them again?
We didn't get the specific yesterday. So.
Yeah, like she
It's
gave a
really
good
different.
result, but I can't tell the ball that long he just did. With today's lab, he wants to incorporate